So I'm going to stop and then I'm going to start again.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mr. Pod Show. Today I am joined by Sandy Gordon,
So,
a.k.a. Bandygrass, who is a far superior pixel artist to me. And we're going to
yeah,
talk, I don't know, general bullshit. I don't think we have a theme to the show yet. We talk a lot about
no
game dev.
agenda.
Nobody likes to talk about game dev. It's the most boring shit on the planet. So, how are you doing?
Doing well, Miggers. This is the first time we've actually Skyped or heard each other's voices, I think. Well, I've watched Mr. Pod, but
Yeah, this is
usually,
technically, I think we're first base as far as relationships on the internet go.
yeah, first base sounds about right. I don't, I don't hope that we're gonna get to second base or anything anytime soon. But if you went to GDC, maybe, but I
Well,
won't guarantee it.
you did send me a physical object in the mail that I can, like,
That's true.
hold like a totem and rub my finger against.
That's true. I rubbed it all over my face before I sent it.
Oh, nice. That's why it smells like bitch.
Yeah, you wish. You're jealous of my musk,
Oh, yeah.
my pixel musk.
Now, I will say, you did inspire me, whether it was knowingly or otherwise, to stop being like a fat piece of shit.
Oh, you're hitting the gym, getting your pump on again?
I'm not hitting the gym so much because I don't have time, but I am, busting out the weights every night and trying to destroy myself. And one thing I have noticed is like every childhood sports injury that I had is like totally coming back in spades, and I think I need to get
Oh
like a
yeah, yeah.
cortisone shot in my shoulder and knee and wherever else they
Yep,
do that.
yep. Your body's old, catching up to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's how my dad is. Like he used to be pretty athletic and pretty active, but a bunch of sports injuries just add up, and he can't really do anything anymore without aches and pains and creaks.
yeah, and when it rains, I'm like a dog. Like I can feel it in
Right.
my joints.
You can feel it. You can feel it coming. The arthritis is acting up again, Judy.
Yeah, so I don't know how much everybody knows about Sandy. He's working with Zach, who's I guess, a twice repeating Mr. Pod guest or host. I don't know what we're calling you people. And you're doing the animation and the sprites. Uh, how are you liking how that's going right now?
With Farah, well, we're doing fairly far away, but yeah, Farah and the Eye of Darkness. It's going great. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the best team I've ever worked in. I haven't. I mean, I've been doing game dev, I guess, for maybe 3 years because I did a little bit at my previous job when I was doing some graphic design, and I was kind of with a small team there. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the easiest and smoothest team I've ever been able to work with. Everyone's really professional, responsible, and extremely talented. So, yeah, I feel
Yeah,
lucky.
it seems like this is almost like a Twitter matchup, where it's just a bunch of people that kind
Oh
of
yeah,
got loosely related to each other just over time. It's almost like the game dev community came together, and everybody that just like wasn't doing anything was like, okay, we're we're doing
pretty
this new
much.
game.
I think the way it started really was that I was bugging Zach for a little while about wanting him to work with me or just wanting to pixel some of his projects, and some stuff fell through. Some publisher funded things he was doing, and he had some free time, so he was like, "All right, fine, I'll accept your proposal, I guess." And we threw around a few ideas for a while. We had a couple prototypes, but this is the one that we decided to stick with and kind of take to fruition,
Yeah,
take all the way.
and I don't know if it's good or bad, but Zach has such a strong tendency towards visual programming, I guess I'd call it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you can animate stuff, but then he takes that and he adds a whole other layer to that where you're doing less work, but it's like so impure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I think that comes from Well, first of all, that's where a lot of his ability to do game feel very well comes from. You know, a lot of programmers tend to be kind of borderline autistic in a way. Like I think we talked about that before. No, I mean
Borderline.
it's true. I don't know if they'd be able to be diagnosed as autistic, but I think a lot of them have those antisocial kind of tendencies, and a lot of those same people seem to not be very visual minded, not really artistic necessarily. I worked with a bunch of them before. I worked with two software engineers that thought that game dev was where I was at. You know, that's where the money is right now, and they really wanted to get into mobile games, and so I was like, all right, so we'll try and do something together, see where it goes, and
Yeah.
the end result was always, they could program the stuff really well really quickly, but the feel wasn't there. It just didn't feel gamey, or maybe that's a bad word to use,
Gamey.
actually.
Like
It felt
meat.
too gamey. Yeah, like
Uh,
meat.
well, the thing is that I've noticed with programmers in particular is if they can't do something well, they're gonna deflect like crazy because those guys have a god complex.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's
No, but
like, hey,
I
this
think
doesn't feel right. They're like, what do you mean feel right? You know?
well, that actually came up a lot. Like, what do you mean by feel? Can you give me examples? Like, they wanted me to send them specifics, like gravity has to be -7, or whatever metric they were using, and
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
go play Mega Man, dipshit.
well, that's the thing too. They hadn't really played any games.
How would
You
you
know, they
make a
just
game
thought.
without having played games? That's just crazy.
Well, I think to them it was like, all right, if we want to make Snake, all we need to do is create some sine waves and things, and have this little tail follow the trajectory of the main character, like the little ball at the front or something, and if it hits something, it dies. Like they were looking at it more in terms of um, like just a yes/no value sort of thing, as opposed to understanding that there's a lot more to games than just uh, the programming that goes into it, or even the art that goes into it. Really, there's design and feel are something that you can't really uh, just learn from a book. I think
Yeah.
it becomes an intuitive sense after years and years of playing games.
I think that's probably the case, and I don't know if it's helpful or hurtful, but I'm reading the chat. It's getting me distracted.
Oh, it's my heater's dying on me. It's
If you-
freezing here.
if you don't know what that sound is, that is the sound of tiny samurais chopping the connection between us, because Sandy lives in Japan, and somehow we're able to still have a reasonable conversation without a whole lot of skippage going on. Fucking amazing.
Not a whole lot of skibbity. I can hear you really well,
That's
but
good.
it's still freaking me out that if I look at the I'm just gonna stop looking at it. Look at the stream. The video is so lagged.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't know what's going on. Like, should I look at that and talk? Like, should I talk to this Megalito, or should I talk to the one
It's
down here?
actually dead on. I'm just a very accomplished ventriloquist.
Do you stick your hand up in chickens and pretend it's Balkans when you're on by yourself?
No, I actually
Is that
don't
a chicken
have.
carcass?
I don't have any kind of chicken obsession whatsoever. It's just
How did the idea for chicken sword even start then? If it was
well, okay.
not some kind of weird obsession or fetish.
Here's the origin story, and it's painfully boring. I decided one day, hey, I'm gonna make a game. This was like a little over a year ago, and I was just dicking around, looking at examples of, physics and stuff, and I stumbled across Zach's website. He knows all about this.
Yeah.
And I went through his stuff and kind of figured out what he was doing, and had some conversations with him on Twitter. And he had done Frog Sword. Well, I was like, I'm gonna one up this shit and make the dumbest possible animal. Have a like.
So you're trying to outdumb the frog with a sword?
I successfully outdumbed the frog, and I think history will show that. But,
Well, if you ever finish the damn game, yeah, history
Yeah.
will show it.
yeah, well, at this point, I think the game is larger than a game.
Yeah.
It's more of a culture.
It's more of a culture. All your followers are waiting for Chicken Sword.
They are.
Yeah, even if you've already in your heart decided to never work on that game again, you can't tell them because they're all gonna either jump off a cliff or at least leave Twitter,
Yeah. Well, the
leave the
weirdest
cult of Miguelito.
the weirdest shit about all this is, I had drawn in the past. Like a long time ago, I was a lot more into art than I am now. But I never drew animals before. Like, this is a whole new thing where I'm drawing really stupid animals. And I think it might just be reactionary because whenever I draw a stupid animal, people are like, yeah, do that. I want more stupid animals. Instead of like, yeah, that's a cool system. So.
Yeah. I think what it seems to me that what spoke to people about Chicken Sword was more the art than the design that you were going for. Like, I mean, I know you changed the design quite a few times too. It started as a platformer and then turned into kind of a almost isometric view.
Yeah, it's changed once.
Zelda-like. Okay, well.
Quite a few once.
Quite a few once. Well, you've had 2 iterations, and I'm sure you've talked or thought about others.
Yeah, Chicken Sword card game.
Yeah, right.
Chicken the Gathering.
Action CCG. Chicken in the Eye of Darkness.
Infinite Bucker.
Is that your next thing? Yeah. Please tell me you're gonna put a Bokkins with a sword in dodgeball, though.
I mean, there are many cameos, but that isn't even my favorite character. So I'm not really pushing to have chickens everywhere.
I have a feeling that an arrow lion watching a kid's dodgeball game wouldn't fly very well with the ESRB.
I know. I wonder about that. I had this conversation today with someone I'm working with, and I was like, talking about how death is handled or whatever, and then I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't kill kids in the game. And he's like,
are you planning to kill them?
Well, everybody dies when you get, when your health depletes, you die. Like, you're dead.
What?
I know.
That's not dodgeball then. That's like Battle Royale with balls. Well, that's completely different.
It's Kunio dodgeball. It's super dodgeball.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
People have health meters. And in that game, when you died, you became a little ghost. And in my mind, it's like I'm so influenced by that idea.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, all these characters are children. And is that really okay? And he was like, well, it's kids killing kids. So it's like, I guess that's okay. Like,
that makes it okay somehow.
It's like the media ignores black on black crime. Maybe it's like the same for child on child.
that sparks another question for me. The idea that kids are never killable in games. Like, you look at an Elder Scrolls game or even the game Bully, I think, like, you were played as a kid, right? The Rockstar game? And you were able to punch adults and teachers and such, but you weren't able to... you were able to punch kids, but you couldn't kill them, I guess.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls was a weird one. Because there were children in the earlier ones, weren't there? And, and you just, you could beat them forever, and they just never died.
Yeah, they would just kind of run away from you or something, but you could punch them, but you couldn't kill them.
And this is probably a deeper issue, because what if one of those kids was going to be Hitler one day, and everybody says, "Oh, I'd kill baby Hitler," right?
Right.
But
missing their opportunities.
Not in a video game.
Yeah, no, I guess not. Guess not.
Let's make a video game called Kill Baby Hitler and see if it can be on Steam or not.
But they don't actually tell you which baby is Hitler, so you have to just kill all the babies.
Yeah, like at one point I had a real sexy blood particle effect. Or whenever one of the kids got blapped around, and then I was like, wait a second. We just can't have these kids bleeding all over the place. So maybe maybe you'll be able to kill the adult characters, but the kids will be like, okay, I'm just going to get off the field and sit down.
No, I just think, I mean, it's a weird concept to me that killing adults is okay, but killing kids is not. I don't really see, other than age, what's the difference?
Well,
is it the concept of killing innocents or something, or that? I don't know.
There are some things, and I think in a lot of senses, women are lesser, kind of the same deal in video games, and it's just a matter of nobody wants you to be able to take out your frustrations on an already disenfranchised populace. I mean, who's more disenfranchised than children? They can't vote. They got to go to bed when you say. It's like. Could you imagine if there was a race of people that had to go to bed when you say?
A race of children?
Yeah, you got to go to these internment camps all day where they teach you boring shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that killing kids is racist against kids. So
No, it is
kids,
absolutely.
kids, kids are just little adults.
But kids are also portrayed in the most badass roles in video games because they're
Yeah,
just fearless and innocent, and like they don't even think twice about either running away or like running into the danger, depending
yeah,
on
yeah.
who they are.
Well, like Link's Adventures. I
Yeah.
think, well, most RPGs really, right? You start as an orphan kid with a mom, no dad ever, just a mom.
Yes. As
But
if you were created from the Force.
yeah, I don't know if the reasoning behind that is more because a lot of the people who would be playing the games are kids themselves, so they think it's somehow maybe more relatable to their target demographic, or if kids are just empty vessels, are seen as empty vessels, and it's like, all right, even if you're a 35-year-old, you could kind of imagine yourself embodying this character because it's not like a war hardened kind of grizzled adult that already has a defined personality. you know
Yeah.
More of like that. I think, I guess, that the silent protagonist being a kid makes a lot more sense, just in that their personalities are not defined yet.
They're supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right, yeah, get back in your closet.
Just another
go,
way that
go to
you hold the
bed.
kids down as the man. You
That's the man,
fucking
exactly.
kidist. That just sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess.
But you're gonna have some issues with what is it officially called? Dodgeball time, Dodger time,
It's
Dodgerton time.
actually always been called dodgeball time.
Okay, all right. I just
And
want to make sure I get it right for
it takes
future.
place. You are a upstart group of youngsters from the town of Dodgerton, which is just the first name that I thought of. And it's kind of like a ghetto sort of a place. So you go beat the rich kids, who are the all stars. It's kind of a parallel with Crash and the Boys Street Challenge, in that sense,
Oh,
which is
nice.
another Kunio game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but
SNES, bunch of SNES references.
yeah, I mean it's actually NES. But
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah, these are all Nintendo games, so it's pretty old
huh.
school.
I remember. Well, Super Dodgeball was Super NES, right?
Nope, Super Dodgeball was NES.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
For some reason, I remember it looking a lot better than most NES games. Like looking better than River City or
it's
games like.
identical. I mean, it looks identical to that. It looks identical to World Cup Soccer, which is another
Oh,
one of
really?
those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, that one I do remember. Well, yeah.
But there was a Game Boy Advanced version, which was nicer looking.
And they did a remake too, right? Later on.
That's what it was. The Game Boy Advance one was a remake.
Ah, got it. Okay, that's the one. Oh, that's the one I was thinking of. That
Yeah,
actually looks really nice.
and there was an
Yeah.
arcade one, but it was like shitty and stupid.
Yeah. What is it? Was it a coin eater, or was it just kind of a
Oh, I don't know.
like was
All I
was it
know
made
is
in the 90s or something?
all I know is that it existed. I think it was around the same time as the NES game. But what
Yeah, then it was definitely a coin eater.
we were talking about River City Ransom. Man, have you seen this remake of River City Ransom and how fucking nice the
It looks
animations on it are?
amazing, right? Yeah, I need to look it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It hasn't it been in development for a few years now already?
Yeah, and you
Underground.
wonder why, but it's because they're trying very hard to make it not of the quality of the original. And
Yeah, not
I
crap.
think it totally comes through.
Yeah, a lot of this art reminds me of Paul Robertson's stuff. The stuff he did for Mercenary Kings, mostly.
You have a fan.
Oh yeah, what's up? I've been totally ignoring the chat for
I
a while.
expected this. Everybody's gonna come in and be like, "Ooh, who's this handsome fellow with a '90s haircut,
Well, you're the one with the man beard.
a man beard?" Yeah,
I'm completely unable to grow a man beard.
that's
So
just
I'm
fine.
um oh yeah, Punches Bears asking me how I like Japan. I have met Godzilla. It was not the movie Godzilla, but I did meet an animatronic lizard in Odaiba, which is like this weird little island off of Tokyo. Uh, I think Fuji Television's there, but they've got that. Oh, that's where the life-size Gundam is. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's pretty cool. When I was there like 8 years ago or something, they were just building it, so I got to see its legs. But
Nice.
yeah, there was a this weird animatronic Godzilla that had sparks shoot out of its like this little thing in its tongue, under its tongue. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's badass.
I don't know if that's like the Japanese Godzilla, like the definitive one, but
That's the one. It came from under the sea, and then it died of old age, and then they shoved robot parts up into it.
that's probably what happened. It's exactly what happened. I guarantee
I am
it.
here to
Sounds
give
like
Mr.
Japan.
Sparkle. uh,
So we're gonna get racist now.
is it racist, or is it just like a spot on accurate impression?
I don't know. I don't know what the yeah. I don't
I
know
think
what
it's
the
okay.
ramifications of being racist on Mr. Pod are, but
Well,
they're
there
probably pretty slim.
are races that you can be racist against, and then
White
there are
people?
ones that you're not allowed to be racist against. And typically, Asians are pretty cool about it. Historically, they're not going to
Yeah.
cause a big stink because they know that they got the shit going on. And there's nothing wrong with anything, and there's so many of them.
They're just like, we don't care.
They're
We could-
actually a majority. So, can you be
In the
racist
world,
against a
that's
majority?
What I find pretty funny is, here in Japan, there are a lot of foreigners that come over to teach English or whatever the case. Half of them are just here to get laid, probably. But
How does that work out? Let's stop your story because that's
Nope.
really everybody who asks how Japan is like. So, is
Yeah.
it really easy to get laid there?
from the perspective of someone who just got married last week, I'm gonna have to say I don't really know. But from what I've heard, yeah, it's probably pretty easy. Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you go, if you're an Asian person, let's say an Asian woman who goes to the U.S., especially somewhere northeast, like outside of a big city, like not New York or L.A. or anywhere, but you're going to be considered exotic, right? You're going to be in the minority. So clearly, there are going to be a lot of young nerds with yellow fever drooling.
Okay, first of all, this is a dumb argument because if you're a woman and you go anywhere,
True.
you can get laid within like
True.
minutes.
Well, I'm talking purely about the exotic factor.
Yeah.
If you stand out, then people are going to notice you.
You're talking about the number of high fives the person who bangs you gets afterwards. Then I agree. They get more
Yeah.
high fives if it's not a local.
All right. Well, that's a different topic. We're going into like your high school fantasies now, but
I think it's the same topic.
same topic. Well, all I'll say is in Japan, it's kind of the opposite in that being white makes you exotic, and as a result, you're if a Japanese girl is dating you, then it's like some kind of status symbol, or like, oh, look what I could snag. I got the white man.
Whoa, so she's like Jamaican?
I got the white. Yeah. No, I was channeling Trevor Noah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, so he's okay. He just said he got married. Quit asking. But my knowledge of Japan is largely based on anime of Japanese culture. So every school is like a fight club. If you're walking
yeah.
down the street, there's people with like boken ready to beat you up for no reason.
It happens. I've got bruises.
No, that's
Yep.
your lying.
My girlfriend's a magical witch. Who's actually like 300 years old. But looks 12.
Yeah, and you went to a school, and it turned out it was like a school for vampires.
And I was half vampire, but I
You
didn't know it.
didn't know
Yeah.
when you went there, but it was called Vampire School. You just thought it was like ironic.
Yeah, I thought it was just a really long acronym. like vampire stood for something.
I don't even
Very,
want
very athletic men.
to.
Uh,
Normally I would do that, but it's so many letters, and
yeah, no.
it's so late here.
What time is it actually there? Like 1 a.m.?
No, it's actually like I mean it's about midnight, so this is like my power hour right now.
Yeah, this is when you usually get your work done.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get no sleep most of the time, do you? You're
Uh,
always on Twitter. You're either always on Twitter or it's like work hours or something. So you've got to be up. Like I don't know when you sleep.
Yeah, I wrote a
You've got a
bot
kid.
that has figured out algorithmically exactly how I say things and the types of jokes that I tell, and I just input a
Just
couple of
posts
words in
for
it.
you.
Yeah, and it says
The
like
bullshit bot.
my butt is cool fun, and then it gets like 600 retweets. But then when then when I post something legitimate, people are just totally disinterested.
It just keeps like taking gifs of your current build and posting them every like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I added some new text to the
Check
same exact GIF that I just showed you.
check out this thing.
Crazy Pete's eyes now blink 3 frames per second faster.
Crazy Pete. I don't know if he's a fan favorite, but he's definitely got the most attention so far.
Yeah, Crazy Pete, that old codger. Who's your
Everybody knows
favorite
him.
character so far? Actually,
In
I'm
the
curious to know.
dodgeball game.
Yeah, that
Being
you've created.
being that I haven't really done any writing for it yet, I haven't started really thinking about who these people are that much. Other
You haven't
than
fleshed out their personalities.
other than the shopkeepers.
Yeah.
But I mean, design wise, I haven't spent enough time. Man, I did all these like in a night.
I'm gonna have to go with your Heihachi clone.
Oh
I think.
yeah, Master
The
JoJo.
Master Jojo, Mojo Jojo. Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like his. It looks like he's like Zach, like on 6 Red Bulls. He's the one that's blinking, right? Constantly blinking.
He's like
Uh,
big eyes and then closed eyes.
I will teach you karate.
Yes. But JoJo is not a particularly Asian name.
No,
So,
well,
Uh.
it rhymes. That's all that you need.
yeah. I mean, it's been a blast to develop. I don't regret it at all. And I was starting off and I was trying to make it like real simplistic, and then the aesthetic changed completely because I came up with a more like simplistic approach even that I liked better, and then I had to redraw everything. That's just my life
Yeah.
now,
How
redrawing
often,
shit.
how often does that actually happen to you? And do you find that you've got to set some kind of limit for yourself, or some kind of boundary to say, no, I'm not, this is finished. I'm not going to actually go back and revisit it this time because, it's just, at some point you're going to have to move on and just, I guess, allow your ego to lay low for a while and then keep your old assets the way they are. I mean, if you just, if you go back and revisit everything, you're never going to finish the game. So.
This has been a question turned into like a morbid criticism.
No, but it's
You're like,
legitimate
do you
because you
ever
said
find
yourself.
that you're a fucking filthy animal and everybody hates you?
You filthy animal.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true, and I think historically,
Yeah.
all you can look at is the past, and yeah, I clearly just do redesigns all the time. It doesn't really bother me that much. Right now, I've kind of put that on hold because we're trying to push to green light pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I just gotta stop. But I already know that I'm gonna have to redesign things, not necessarily visually, but construct them in a different way so that they can be more scalable and have a little ragdollery going on.
Do you mean revisit the way that the sprites animate, or
The way that they're constructed, I mean, they're currently just images with no layers or anything like that, and possibly gonna have to come up with a way to set them up like armatures so that they can be rapidly constructed. I could just do a head and then plug it into a new body, and
Oh, that's interesting.
Uh,
Have you considered using spline?
no, I think that's significant overkill for what I'm talking about.
So you're just talking about like, well, yeah, I guess that's more. That would be more for.
Yeah, if I was doing a vector game and I wanted to have everything look like a crazy puppet, then I would use
Right.
spline.
Right. If you had like a bunch of accessories or something on the characters and you needed to animate individual pieces and all that, but yeah, I guess if you're talking just a simple body, arms, legs, you could probably just do that straight in Unity.
Yeah.
Like have all dynamic animations or something like that, all based on physics or reaction to getting hit, I guess.
Yes, indeed. So,
No, the only reason I brought that up though, the question about revisiting your old work is that I was kind of feeling the same way recently. I mean, it's been like 5 or 6 months since we started doing FAR development, and even within that time, like looking back at the first stuff I did, which was probably the Farah sprite herself, I'm like seeing all the flaws and things that I would do differently now, and it's kind of like you have to weigh would you like is there enough of it that you would change or that you're just satisfied with that it's worth investing all of that time to redo it, or is it a better idea to just keep pushing toward completion and hope that nobody notices or just assume that nobody's going to care.
was okay. Was Farah based originally on what I call her Bull Girl, the first the first version that you did?
Bull,
Is that
bull cut girl.
is that where she came from, or did Fell design something that was the basis for her?
Well, the design for Farah herself was based on a character. uh, It was actually a character design I did for a platformer that Zach and I were going to do. I actually have the original sprite. I'll try and find it. Um, yeah, we were going to do. We had a little prototype called Zodiac that we were working on for a couple months, and yeah, we ended up going a different direction. But I designed this character first for that, and I really liked the colors and kind of the general shape of the hair and face. It wasn't Bowl Cut Girl. That was actually completely different. Uh, I just posted the sprite
Yeah, I see.
in the chat. Yeah, but no, I liked the colors and I liked the red cloak and the white face, and I've for a bunch of years I've actually really wanted to do for some reason a game that had demon lore, whatever that means, like lore that was about
Yeah,
a
I remember
demon
this one.
world and demon people, but not like demonic in the satanic sense. So no hell or Satan really, just kind of imps. Like those two guys from Hercules, the blue and the chubby maroon one,
I gotta be honest.
the
I
Disney movie.
I have no I never have seen the Disney Hercules.
You're just like, what the hell is Sandy talking about?
That's the one I missed.
Making no sense. Yeah,
I've seen
that's
the shit
it's
out
a
of
really
some
good
Disney
one.
movies, but
It's a good.
when I think about what you're saying, even though you're talking about excluding like heaven and hell, it reminds me of the people in the afterlife of Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, okay. So it's funny you say that. That's another inspiration for sure.
And
So like
also
little.
the demon lord that showed up in the Boo saga as well.
Yeah, like King Yema style demon, not evil, not necessarily driven by any kind of agenda to destroy humans or do mischief or evil, just like cosmic beings, more or less.
Yeah,
With
cosmic
horns.
beings.
Cosmic
Totally.
beings with horns.
That's a thing.
But yeah, anyway, so completely off on a tangent there. But yeah, the character design started here and developed into what it is through a combination of mine and Fell's ideas. Felipe's.
Yeah, there's definitely been a cutification of it.
Yeah, she became probably a bit less demon-like and more witch,
Kind of vampire-y.
a little vampire-y, kind of more like a little Sailor Moon style witch, I think.
I have never seen Sailor Moon either, so I can't help you with that.
Well, you've seen the character designs. I've never watched the show either, but
I know that they have the crazy floppy like whatever hair. I don't know anything else about
Yeah, Sailor Moon, that show with the floppy hair.
floppy hair.
That's exactly the way I would describe it.
Yeah.
Floppy, Sailor Moon.
Well, they had kind of a similar aesthetic to, I guess, like Inuyasha in some cases. But in Inuyasha, all the demons were definitely evil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one I haven't watched. I watched some Ranma or read it back in the day.
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, I watched everything that was on Adult Swim during like the golden years of Adult Swim, and that was one of them
Yeah,
that came on all the time.
yeah. It was on. I didn't catch it. I think I was watching Cowboy Bebop at that time though. That's when I know we both have a mutual love for that show.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
uh, Somebody's asking questions. How did your team
Oh
come
yeah,
together? But we kind of already covered this. I don't know
yeah. We
if you want
kind
to
of did.
address it again.
Well,
We didn't get here earlier.
I can just do it in brief. Basically, what Mig said earlier, that we all pretty much met on Twitter. Zach and I think, just were mutual fans of each other's work and wanted to work with each other. And I think I contacted him first, probably. But then we worked on a few prototypes together, and then after that, Felipe and I guess, were kind of admiring each other's work too. And I asked him if he would be willing to do a game with us. He's an incredible concept artist, has more experience than all of us, at least working in the games industry. And he obliged, and it's been working out really well. And Alejandro Hidi is basically best friends with Zach, and he's got a lot of production marketing experience, programming experience. So he's on board with us too. And then Vince Rubinetti is doing the score, the music score for the game, and he I think got in contact with Zach for Ink. So when Zach made Ink, Vince ended up doing the sound effects and composed the music for that too. So yeah, we're basically all just big fans of each other's work. I think that's how it started, and the way that we're still. That's just how the team dynamic still is. So yeah, it's fun that way.
Totally.
Our,
And
our Slack channel pretty much every day is like, oh holy shit, that's incredible! Heart, 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 heart. Like,
I oh god, I had something to say, and then I started thinking about you all like hearting each other.
yeah, it's got to be the what is it? The arrow, the sideways V, and then the three, the bracket three.
The
Otherwise,
sideways V makes me think you're probably not a math person.
I'm a little bit retarded.
Are you talking about the less than sign?
Well, okay, how is that any better way to explain it?
The sideways V? You've been in Japan too long, brother.
less than three.
Yes, that's how you say it.
Less than three? Oh, really?
Less
Okay.
than 3. Like
Okay. I thought there would be like a more mathematical official term for it, like
no,
some
I'm pretty
French,
sure.
some
I'm pretty
French
sure it's
name.
called the sideways V.
Sideways V. Yeah.
Except for the other one, which is the other sideways V.
Sudways V.
uh,
I need to look this shit up. What is it? Less than sign. There's got to be an official name. Come
this
on.
is fucking riveting podcast material as well.
Okay, so it could be also just called a bracket.
Oh yeah, but it's not not the
Less
only
than
thing that's
sign.
called then there's like curly braces and whatever.
Well, yeah, those are the common brackets, right? So that's
Yeah.
why I was like, okay, well, that's not.
Duck beak.
I didn't want to call it a bracket right away.
It's a left-facing duck beak.
Yeah, that is its official name from now on.
No,
That's-
because ducks have like bills. They don't have beaks.
it's open though.
Yeah.
It's open, dude.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, you're right. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a Pac-Man mouth.
Yeah, it's a quackers.
I see. I'm looking at it wrong.
Quackers mouth.
See, that's the thing. You've got this art brain, and it allows you to see.
I am completely math inept. Horrible at math. I remember in college, I was doing like a 3D art and animation major for a couple years, and I had some stupid math requirements to fulfill, and I took the dumbest, easiest math, and I still got like a D minus out of the goodness of the teacher's heart.
So what did you go to school for in the end? Like, what does your paper say?
My paper officially says Bachelor of Fine Arts. Because what I ended up doing is going to a 3D art and animation school for 3 years, and the program at the time, at least, I won't speak for it now because it's been quite a while, and I think they've upped their game. But I went for 3 years at the very beginning of the programs, and basically its inception, and it sucked. So I didn't learn anything there. I actually ended up knowing way more about Photoshop and 3D Max and Maya that we were using at the time. I knew more than the teachers did, so it was kind of a waste of my time. Which is often the case, I think,
That
for
seems like the common
hobbyists
adage.
who, yeah, yeah. I mean, when a hobbyist kind of goes to college to expect higher education, they're often disappointed.
Yeah, unless you go to like MIT or something. Like you really have to go to a place with a culture of learning in order to do that. Now me, I transferred from a fine arts program that I was originally at to Texas A&M, where the only art type thing besides architecture was called environmental design.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, they have...
How is that different, really?
Well, they have programs there where they have partnerships with, like, DreamWorks and... what's the other one? Oh, God.
Pixar?
Pixar. Fuck. Where's my brain at today?
Yeah.
And I know
same place as mine is about the sideways V, I think.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that graduated that program and went to work at DreamWorks or Pixar,
Uh-huh.
and like I was like, wow, that's the coolest fucking job ever. And whenever I talk to them later on after they've been doing it for a while, it turns out like, oh, I textured the eyeballs on this movie. It's like, fuck, that's the most boring shit I've ever heard in my life.
Most boring thing ever. Yeah, that tends to be the reaction I hear a lot from people in AAA too. You know, like, you know, they work really hard to get a job in AAA. You know, they go to school for at least 4 years and maybe specialize in character sculpting or something like that, right? And then they end up getting a job doing rock textures for like 2 or 3 years before they can move on to modeling feet.
Yeah, or you do like fingertips all day, and it's
fingertips all day. Yeah,
they have such an unsustainable dev cycle as it is, but they have like 500 artists all trying to make the same game at the same time, and you got to imagine that it's just like mind-numbingly terrible. Nobody gets into game development because they want to do that, and I think that's why you see a lot of these people who lose their jobs in AAA move to the indie as opposed to finding another AAA job, because that lets you like. Right. You go to school to do this creative thing. You want to be creative. If you want to actually be creative, you need to be an entrepreneur and do your own shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I could never. I mean, if somebody offered, you know, to hire me for whatever, nobody wants my graphics on a AAA game. But if that ever happened, if they were like, oh shit, we want you to make the new Call of Duty with stupid fucking animal characters, I wouldn't be able to do it because it sounds like just painfully boring. I don't want to make eyebrows all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like anything. I think if you look at, you know, like what it takes to become an electrician or a plumber, let's say, you know, you spend a couple of years learning a specialized skill, and then you're hired for what is effectively an assembly line type job. Like, you know, you get a call to a job and you go and do the same thing that you do every day. You know, you take off the pipe and then you put on a new one. It's kind of like, you know, if you're working in AAA, you're really just on an assembly line there. You know, they say we need 10 rocks textured by the end of the week, and that's all you do.
Well, and okay, there is a job in AAA, and that's concept artists, which everybody wants to be a concept artist. They're like, oh, I draw anime boobs all day because I want to be a concept artist one day. But those are the people that are fucking the best artist that you've ever met is a concept artist for AAA. That's
the thing. And to be honest, that's actually what I wanted to do for a large part of my life. And at one point I just realized it wasn't going to happen because either I wasn't dedicated enough to, you know, put in the time and effort needed for me to get to that level, or the competition was just way too steep.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that the person that you know in your life that like is the best artist you've ever seen in your life
Yeah.
and has always been that way for forever, that
Yeah.
person probably couldn't land that job.
Probably not. Probably not. Because not only do you have to be a good illustrator or a great illustrator rather, but you have to be fast because they, speed is money. Speed is value.
Yeah.
So you've got to be incredible, but you've got to do it quickly. I know two of my best friends work at Vicarious Visions, and it's funny because in college they were the top of the top of the program. They were always hailed as being 3D kind of virtuosos almost in that program, and everybody else looked up to them and whatnot. And they got hired, and they're doing really well. They're doing what they need to do, I guess. But looking at everybody else, the competition just completely changes. The bar goes so high because you're surrounded by everyone else who's extremely good and talented at what they do, competing for the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know one guy that I went to school with who basically, to put it in perspective, he did the design for the cover of the elementary school yearbook, and you would have never known it was a tiny child who drew it. But
yeah, one of those little artistic geniuses.
Yeah, he's a concept artist for Rovio now.
Oh wow!
And it's just like
that's what it takes, right?
Every
Genetics.
time I sit down with him and he draws something, he's got like just this whole otherworldly level of like, this is my whole design. I'm just gonna start what looks like random strokes, and it just turns into this like Bob Rossian kind of like randomness becomes something that's so detailed and so full of character and that's something that
magic.
I think the AAA cycle, with the exception of people like Blizzard, who really spend a lot of time making sure that like everything that they do is it has character and is something iconic. You see more and more like realism because that's way easier.
Yeah.
And I hate it. Like it's
no, it's true. It's true.
Character designs used to be so much more interesting than they are now, where it's like, I'm the soldier with the black face. I'm the soldier.
I think Naughty Dog does a pretty good job at that actually, and BioWare too, where they do kind of go for that realistic sort of aesthetic, but the designs are still pretty iconic because they draw from a lot of other sources. Not just Battlefield style camo and
I don't know. I might disagree on BioWare thinking about the games that they've done recently.
Well, Mass Effect. I don't know. Dragon Age I haven't really played, but I knew. Yeah. Well, actually, Matt Rhodes I think is one of the lead concept artists on Dragon Age, and he's incredible. His designs are always really good.
But the thing is, when I look at Mass Effect, it's not like I see all these varied characters. I just see a bunch of humans with like fucked up faces.
Well, that's the world, right? I mean, the Tolkien-esque style high fantasy sort of thing.
That is the world. That's the real world.
Yeah. Well, that's the world that people want to play in. I guess.
It's always a little strange when people are like, "Oh, we've got these aliens from another planet," and they're largely exactly the same as us.
Yeah. They're all bipedal, humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty stupid. I mean, I think that stems from Star Trek and Star Wars not having the technology to really go crazy with interesting designs for their aliens and stuff, or maybe just they weren't that imaginative. I don't know. I mean, Alien was probably one of the first films to go like really out there with their creature designs.
Oh yeah, Alien. Interestingly enough, my stepdad's, I want to say, cousin wrote Alien, the original.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's such a like fucking 6 degrees of whatever, but he
wrote it. He wrote it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he
screenplay. Wow.
Yeah, he went to Juilliard, and his roommate was Robin Williams. I'm talking about my stepdad, and he's like, he knows all these fucking people that are just, you would never think. But apparently, DAO, which I'm assuming is Dragon Age Origins, was epic as fuck as shit. I think that's
I think that was what was written on the back of the box too. So
Yes, it
that's
was
a quote
like
actually.
yeah, it was from like IGN, and it just says epic as fuck as shit, and then like an emote of starts eating fried chicken again. Like they didn't have
Yeah.
time to be bothered to
And
get.
if it was an IGN review, it was probably like 6.7 out of 10, best game ever or something. Epic as fuck as shit.
Well, Dragon Age Origins was good, but that was before the character design or the design in general was good at all. I mean, it was all basically just people with different textures. But it was good because it was like a classic PC RPG, as
Yeah.
opposed to what it is now, which is like sort of actiony and
Yeah, I think that's what they did with Mass Effect too, right? It was originally far
yeah.
more. It was like a turn-based or pseudo turn-based RPG, and then people kind of complained that it wasn't actiony enough, or
I don't know
you
if they
know,
complained because Mass Effect. I think the
I
biggest
did.
complaint with the original Mass Effect was that it was just such a piece of buggy, terrible shit. But the game itself was amazing. Like there was so much going on with
Yeah,
that
a lot of
game.
depth.
It
Yeah,
really could have been, um, a crush. But as it was, I don't think a lot of people were looking forward to Mass Effect 2 just because Mass Effect was such a nightmare in
well,
terms of
I think didn't two wasn't two a lot more successful though, and
two.
I'm
Two
assuming that
ultimately was a much more polished experience, and they made it. They kind of whitewashed over it, made it a lot more, action oriented and
right,
casual.
right, more
You,
casual. It was more accessible at least.
you could dump like 1,000 hours into Mass Effect, uncovering planet minerals and shit like that. But like
Yeah,
with the second one, it was just like a scanner UI, and you didn't really do anything.
yeah. The first one, I remember you had that vehicle that you could drive around on the planets, and the Mako, or no, what am I thinking of?
Final Fantasy effect.
I was gonna about to say Mako reactor, and I was like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
No, it was something like that. There was a name for the vehicle,
Yeah, there was
but
a weird red dog who had like numbers on him.
shut up. That was buggy though. That
Was
vehicle was
was it
buggy.
actually the Mako? I think it might have been. I think you
I
might be
think it
right.
was the Mako, you son of a bitch. Oh damn it! I'm looking this up now.
I will twist that.
It
knife.
was totally the Mako.
I don't even care, man.
Ah,
But I liked that kind. I mean,
start this podcast over, Meg. I don't
I'm
want
starting
this.
it over. Nobody wants to see this fucking meltdown. But the Mass Effect was a great game. The first one. They were all
Yeah.
pretty good, but I think the first one was the best. Just like game as far as a game design goes, I think it had the most to offer. I just don't think that they had the engine nailed down. And,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
BioWare started doing weird shit with their games. Like I feel like Dragon
Star Wars.
Age, the second Dragon Age game, was just a test bed for Star Wars features,
Maybe.
where they
I mean,
started doing like random spawning out of nowhere, to kind of like,
for the MMO, or
yeah,
is it Old Republic?
yeah. Ultimately, they with what was the second one called? I don't know. The second
I
Dragon Age.
didn't play it. I
But yeah,
don't
the
know.
spawn mechanics were like the same. The design was kind of similar. The physics were kind of similar, and it was like clearly they were just trying to kind of figure things out with the engine, and that just that's why it's so puzzling to me that they've never really let you get back into just like a multiplayer co-op kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because that would make those games just fucking incredible, I think.
Yeah, it would be a different kind of experience for sure. And it would certainly speak to a different demographic. I mean, I think that I'm not really sure why they changed the mechanics so heavily on the newer Dragon Age, but in Mass Effect, I think they just wanted to reach that Call of Duty money, And,
Yeah, but they're not going to. I mean, that's never going to be
well,
what they are.
no, not at the same level, but I think that it did help them reach a bigger audience for sure.
That
People
could
who
be.
RPGs are kind of outdated. I think that Undertale is probably going to bring the genre back, but for the past like 10 years, nobody really cared. I mean, RPGs were, too slow moving for most gamers these days. I think our generation's like our generation or older are pretty much the only people that probably played any of the like, recent Final Fantasies. And
Well, I mean, I know I didn't. I kind of abandoned that series, but the thing is, I think when AAA abandons something, that's when indie has a real opportunity. And Undertale was definitely evidence of that. I mean, you look
yeah,
on Steam
yeah,
Spy, which is a site I recommend everybody go to before they make a game and kind of figure out what's selling.
yeah,
But
yeah. We use it a lot actually.
you go and look at what does well, what's popular, and it's always like stuff with RPG mechanics and stuff with sim mechanics, stuff that AAA really doesn't want to do anymore because they want to do some like motion capture shooting Arabs kind of a game. That's like a whole genre now is how are we going to shoot brown people? American
Yeah,
bloodlust.
or kids. That'll be next.
I don't. I mean, but I don't think there's any correlation between violence and video games,
No, no, no,
unless it's
no.
an inverse one.
Yeah,
That's what history would show. I just think that kids are getting sissier and they're afraid of violence. Violence is cool. We need to get back to violence.
yeah. If you want to get into that talk, we can. I'm sure I agree with you in large part. We often tend to kind of butt heads on a number of issues, but I think that on that one we can agree. So probably
Well,
everyone watching too.
Zach said something to me earlier on Twitter. He asked how I felt about dodgeball being taken out of schools, and I was like, "Well, I think
Was
there's."
it?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm sure that it is maybe where he is in
Yeah.
Washington, but I asked my wife about it, who's a teacher,
Not in Texas.
and she was like, "The kids play dodgeball every day. It's like their favorite
Hmm.
thing."
Yeah.
So it's not like it's gone. It's just certain areas, and that's why I think if you don't like the politics or if you don't like the situation of where you live, there's always a place that you can go and be more mainstream. We're tied down to our families or whatever, but
Yeah.
ultimately,
Always
if everybody
protect.
flees an area because it sucks, it will change and become better.
Well, didn't Texas want to break off from the greater United States at one point? Like
It has
2 years.
always been, it's actually in our Constitution and in every the way that Texas joined was with the ability to leave at any time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually fully legal, but the
So that's
problem
actually
is,
on paper.
we've got so much shit here. We could be pretty self-sustaining. I don't want to leave for the reasons that necessarily a lot of other people want to, but the prospect of starting over is a very intriguing one to me because there's a lot of shit that is just not ever going to get solved within
Yeah.
the federal government, within governments in general.
Well, the U.S. is just too big, I think, at this point.
It could
It's
be.
too big for its own good.
And the idea that you can pass a law and that law works for all these different cultures, and there's so many different cultures, is just preposterous. It doesn't make any sense at all. So every time
Well,
they do it and they find out, people are pissed about it, it's like, of course they're pissed. You took away their right to do something that they've done all the time.
yeah, yeah. I
But
don't know. I mean, if either Bernie or Trump wins, then I think some portion of the U.S. is going to want to secede from the rest. So, yeah,
whether or not
it's
it's one or the other or both, or I don't know,
yeah,
I might like to
it's
see
just
like
going to
a
split right down the
Trump-Bernie
middle.
presidency, vice presidency kind of a situation.
Oh God,
Uh,
yeah,
and then for a while,
internal assassinations happening.
yeah, I don't think that would ever happen. But at least the thing I will say about people that are not within the government is they are not part of the problem yet.
In our current administration,
Yeah, well, what you look at right now is you've got basically in the U.S. you've got two parties, and they don't represent anybody. They're basically
yeah,
just there to provide contrast to each other in
yeah,
order
yeah,
to
yeah,
give people a way to keep both of them in power and keep a third party out.
yeah.
So they all go full crazy mode on every issue on whatever side, and
Well, because they both got the money they can throw at it. That's why no independent will ever win an
well, sure,
election.
Sure, and that's how fucking monarchies work, and that's what we've got basically. Is I
Yep.
think every president, except for one, I can't remember which one, has descended from George Washington or in some way that same family.
Well, if Clinton wins this next term, then this next election, then we're gonna have a dynasty happening. You know, you've got well, like Bush Clinton, Bush Obama Clinton, or something like that for the last 30 years.
Yeah, it's.
I
But
mean,
again,
there's
you know, even Obama has lineage that can be traced back to George Washington.
he probably does,
He does. It's been documented. You should look it up sometime. It's
or
just
at least Thomas Jefferson.
this
should
is
I
not a
not?
conspiracy theory. This is just something weird that I read, and I don't know what it means. I think it's a little silly.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's well, next year is going to be interesting, or later this year, I should say.
Oh
Once
yeah,
all of this is settled.
I picked an excellent time to invest in the stock market.
Oh God, get out now.
As it crashes. No, that's the way you lose money is if you pull it out when it's like declined.
No. Well, if Bernie wins and there's a tax on speculation, then yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a pretty huge crash, I think.
There could be, but I think that's the reason why he won't be allowed to win.
Won't be allowed.
Yeah, I mean, if you think people vote in that matter, this has become something different
Yeah,
entirely.
yeah. Let's bring it back. Bring it back to the games.
Lighten the mood.
The games, Dev. Good old games. The GOP. The games old party.
That's just one different word.
I know. Yeah. My brain's not working, man.
No, whatever. That's what podcasts are all about. Just total nonsense.
Unscripted nonsense.
You will notice that it is episode 15, but I didn't change the episode number. When I was when I was talking about how I set this all up and how it takes time, and I was changing your name and really taking good care to get it right.
You were leading me on to make me think this was going to be something professional, right? But really, it's just a load of steamy crap.
So this is still 14. I guess I could just replace the rat casket episode.
You can just delete this one when it's done.
And then I do have an episode that I never gave a number because I didn't think it was good at all, even though I put it on there. It's just not a numbered episode.
Oh, really? Who was that with?
You can go look through it. I'm not going to mention anybody specifically.
Okay. I think I watched most of the Mr. Pods, unless
Yeah.
it was one with Ryan.
Except the secret unnumbered episode. It's
So
there.
it's unlockable if you like do a certain key combination. Press like less than duck face, upside down V.
No, it's actually the repopulation interview that I did about that game, and Jennifer, the person I was interviewing, she described her job to me in that episode, and it was basically like, I don't have skills to do anything, I don't do graphics, I don't write code, I just kind of stand over people's shoulders and tell them that I want something different. And I was thinking, like, that's the fucking most awesome
Designer.
job, but I would
Yeah.
kill somebody if they did that to me.
Yeah. She's one of those self-proclaimed designers, I guess. In college, that's pretty much 90% of the program, from my experience at least. I'm sure it depends where you go. I mean, if you go to RISD or an art school or something, you're gonna be surrounded by mostly artists. But tech schools and universities with game design programs, it's pretty much 90% people who don't actually have a practical skill and are not really interested in learning one. They just have ideas, whatever that means.
I have a degree. I have a Bachelor of Ideas.
Bachelor of Ideas, yeah.
And it actually has, like, LOL written on it several times. It's like the weirdest degree.
Yeah, it's printed on toilet paper.
I have a Master's in Ideas. I work at McDonald's.
Dude, it's...
Everybody agrees my ideas are good. I said, like, listen to this idea, all right? You take Mega Man, listen, okay? You combine it with Castlevania, all right?
Whoa!
This is my idea. It's like The
Make
way it's like the way that 8-year-olds design games.
Yeah, pretty much. 8-year-olds probably have more original ideas
Yeah.
than
I'm
than
gonna
a lot
draw
of
on
these.
this piece of paper what this game is about, and then like show it to my mom. She's gonna say it's the best idea she's ever seen, and then she's gonna take it and take it into the bedroom and laugh with my dad about it, about what a failure I am.
A good parent will put it on the fridge.
I'm gonna put it right on the fridge. Oh, it slipped out of my fingers into the trash
Oh,
can.
fell in the trash. Yeah.
Oh,
Oops.
my arthritis. I can't. I'll get it later. I'll use a
Slipped into
grabber.
the shredder that we just happened to keep right next to the fridge. Yeah. Have you actually been playing anything recently? I know that you played Fallout 4 not too long ago. But
Okay. Recently, I actually got gifted a copy of Broforce.
oh, nice. That's not
And
bad.
I played it for a couple nights, and I don't know, it was a lot different than I expected. Because typically you see, with a platformer like that, I was expecting it to be more like Soldat, with like reticle targeting or whatever. It's more like Mega Man.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking kind of like it would be like Contra or something.
Yeah, like you shoot forward all the time.
Runner. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I expected it to be more like skill shot oriented. But really, it's just a
run and gun.
It's a game that you're like playing memes, and you're like, holy shit, that's a funny meme. I want to go play until the next meme. And
You mean like due to the fact that they have characters like Rambo and Schwarzenegger,
Rambo and Bro.
Rambro. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Broderson.
Yeah, that's a Devolver game, right?
It is.
Or-
It's made by Free Lives.
Okay.
And it's published by Devolver.
Yeah, yeah.
And it did shockingly well for what it is. Like, I
Yeah, I
guess,
think it's almost at 2 million sales, right? Or
no,
owners.
I think it's like 400,000.
Oh, really?
Maybe 300. I don't know what it's done on consoles. It's definitely a better console game than it is a PC game. If they have it on consoles, but I don't know if they do.
Yeah, probably on PS4.
But the first thing I noticed immediately was all the UI used controller buttons to tell you what to do, but the default mapping was to a keyboard. So what they didn't say is that even though the button says press X, if you push the X on the keyboard, it closes everything out to menu. So we were setting stuff up, and I was just trying to figure out like how to do it. It really means like push the fire button, but that never changes. It's always X.
I see.
And in my mind, I was just thinking like they went all the way through this early access period, and nobody
they
said,
didn't pick up on that. Yeah.
yeah, it seems like something that like it's kind of a rudimentary design problem, and
Yeah.
it should have been fixed in my opinion. There's just a lot of little things like that, but that just goes to show you like when you make an indie game and it gets hype, and it looks pretty good and it's funny. It's definitely funny, and you play it with friends, but if a AAA studio released that, it would have never sold anything.
Yeah. I imagine that on the PS4 release, they probably fixed that.
Did they do a PS4 release?
Well, I think so. I think it's so. I could totally be making that up, but
I don't play consoles.
okay. Well, if they were to, yeah, it's on PS4.
I'm sure that it's fine on PS4 because it has buttons with numbers,
Exactly.
with like letters on it. So you're like, X, that's a thing. You're not going to push X on your keyboard and then close out your network game and drop everybody. But,
Yeah. I mean, the
it was
closest
fun
thing.
to play. I mean, it was a blast just because it's like you don't think about it. You just press forward and shoot until you're done.
Right. Yeah, you just kill everything on screen, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it probably plays similar to Mercenary Kings in that way, where you just kind of you have like a helicopter you have to get to at the end of the stage or something, and you just run and gun until you make it there, or you get and you have an objective like kill 5 of this specific type of soldier or something before the mission ends.
Well, it's actually way simpler than that. You still
Really?
do the run to the helicopter, but pretty much you're just doing the run to the helicopter. There might be a boss
in your way.
but for the most part, you don't have to kill anything. I did a run as the Rocketeer. I don't know what his bro equivalent is, and I just like for some reason it bugged out and I flew straight in the air and I landed on the helicopter and like completed the whole map in 10 seconds. It was just like
loopholes.
I killed nothing. It was probably the best speed run of that particular stage.
It's a feature, not a bug, right? I'm
Well,
sure.
it probably was a feature. It just probably wasn't supposed to be used that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
don't know. It looks fun. I would play it. The art's nice.
it's fun. I
Um,
mean, I'm not going to say it isn't fun. It's just kind of like you wonder how it merits millions of dollars.
yeah. Well, marketing, I'm sure, in a large part,
Maybe.
and maybe some gimmicky aspects, just with all those interesting characters or crazy characters.
People like puns, man.
People like puns, and cameos. One game that I was a little disappointed by was Super Time Force,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't know if that's really the right word or the right way to express it, but like it was fun, but something about the mechanics just made it feel um, a little bit too hard to kind of get immersed in. Have you played it?
I haven't. I don't play indie
Okay.
games.
Well, you played Broforce,
I know.
so that's
Somebody
a
gave
lie.
it to me and I played it.
Oh yeah.
So, guys,
Okay, I'll
if you
gift
want me to
I'll
play
gift you,
games, just like send them to me and I might play them. Give me them for free. I'll play
free
them on the
games.
stream.
That, to be honest, a lot of the indie games I've played recently were actually gifted as well, which is always very
Oh yeah, I
considerate.
played Ink.
You played Ink and you played Undertale.
Oh yeah, Undertale.
Oh, what are you talking about? You play indie games.
That's true. I guess I do play indie games now.
You
I've been
play-
fully assimilated. I just realized that I look like a total fucking hipster too. Like this was
With your beanie.
I've got a beard. I've got some sort of a fancy woolen hat.
If you have a ponytail underneath that
I
hat, we cannot be friends anymore.
I don't have
okay?
a I don't have a
Okay.
man bun.
A man bun.
That's the thing. Is like what a hipster is now is like co-opting lumberjack culture.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, it's skinny jeans and a flannel shirt, beard and ponytail.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what it is, and that's how I dress. That's how I've always dressed because I'm from the fucking grunge generation. I mean, you can relate with that, right? Like that's
Oh yeah,
when I was growing up, it was like Kurt Cobain. That's how you dress.
right. Whatever Grohl or Cobain's wearing.
And to this day, I always wear shirts with brain matter on them.
I bet you have like a Pixies shirt somewhere in your closet too, don't you?
I have a Toadies
Ah.
shirt.
Alice in Chains.
I don't have a Pixies shirt. I've got a Toadies shirt. I've got a Nirvana shirt. I've got a few Sublime shirts.
Yeah, 90s boy.
Yeah, I mean I still only listen to that music. I don't have any Green Day shirts because I think when I was at the age where I wore band shirts, Green Day was a little too mainstream for me.
Green Day was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of music that was considered mainstream back in the 90s is stuff that I definitely don't mind listening to now.
Oh, it's
Like-
fucking incredible now.
Like Green Day or Smashing Pumpkins was all over the radio back then, right?
Yeah, when American
But,
Idiot came out, I was like, "What is this horrible dog shit?" And now it's like I can listen to it, and it's like, "This is great music."
Yeah, it's really strange how that happens.
Yeah,
It's really strange how that. I mean, now listening to stuff on the radio now, it's just makes my ears bleed.
Oh, and
It's mostly
Weezer?
just
Weezer
pop.
Green. When Weezer Green came out, I was like, "This is shit." Weezer Blue was better. Pinkerton was way better. And now it's like Weezer Green makes me sing along and get like really smiley.
Well, Pinkerton's everyone's favorite album, I think.
Pinkerton's really good.
Yeah, but it's funny because I don't know if it's just nostalgia kicking in, like if that's why we like all that stuff now, or if people that are listening to the top 40 stuff now in 20 years are going to be looking at it in the same way as we are.
Punches Bears is in the chat. He's quoting some toadies to us.
Yeah.
he's a Texas boy too, but I call him a boy. I think he's probably older than I am.
Really? I thought he was in Seattle.
Well, I know he went to the same school I did.
Oh, nice. Yep,
But
we're all
I don't know
Texans
I don't know
here.
if he wants me to tell his life story. He seems kind of like a secretive, like a. I
He's a
think he
bear.
actually wants people to think he's a bear in a cave.
He's actually a
somewhere.
bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I picture him, just like I picture Felipe as a fox. I actually know what he looks like, and I still picture him as a fox. So it's gonna be disappointing when we actually meet. Like, where's your bushy tail?
I don't know. I kind of when I think about people that I don't know, I always equate them to like weird cartoon characters in my mind, like somebody, like you're Dexter
Charlie
from
Brown.
Dexter's Lab or whatever. Not
Yeah.
you specifically, but like I always just think about people like that, and I don't know why. Like I feel like until I'm proven wrong that you don't sound and look like that person, then that's who you are to me. And I don't know. If it's like did you ever used to watch Married with Children?
No.
There was an
No.
episode of Married with Children where Al's daughter had to learn a bunch of sports facts to go on a game show, and everything that she learned pushed another fact out of her head, so she was forgetting like normal everyday things.
Right.
And so that's how I am. I think I save resources by attaching memories to other things.
Your brain is at capacity, and you've got to like make room for new things each day.
Exactly. That's
So like
exactly right.
you don't remember anything from before you were 15 years old at this point.
The secret squirrel.
Oh, chat. Your dev Slack is getting pretty rowdy,
Oh, is it mine now?
isn't it? Didn't you take ownership?
I said I did, and then nobody argued.
I thought you actually did. I thought Zach or Ale handed you the keys.
I'm like one of 3 moderators,
Oh, okay.
and I don't even think Zach has logged in since the day he created it.
I think he ever goes on there.
He had,
He's like, I don't have time for this business.
yeah, he was like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna make a thing and help people out, and
Yeah.
then I'm just gonna send out like invites to literally every fucking person.
Well, I think you kind of. Well, I think that was mostly you, wasn't it? Sending out the invites,
No.
and then you turned it into a monster.
When I got there were 200 fucking people.
Really?
When I first joined.
Oh, I thought
And
you invited me.
Everybody that I've invited has been like either somebody has vouched for them, or
The
it's
heavy
somebody
hitters.
that I feel like is contributing something, because there were already enough people that like just weren't doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I know you got a bunch of people like Dom and Glint and Alec, Infinite Ammo joined, and yeah,
Yeah, well,
definitely brought in some class.
it's been a good resource. I went from being maybe in the top 10% of artists to being like in the bottom 30.
Well, you're also playing Jedi Master to a bunch of them too, right? Like Jenny, she's getting really good.
Well, she's
Yeah,
good.
she's an incredible illustrator to begin with, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in terms of pixel art, hard brush ability,
When I see somebody that's like, oh, I can't do pixel art, that does good normal art, it's like you would benefit from learning,
Yeah.
because there's so much to it, color selection and simplicity and shape, that it really helps you improve. I've become better at drawing since I started doing pixel art again.
me too,
And,
for sure.
I don't know. I thought those
You
days
don't-
were over.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I tell people a lot, but if you have a foundation in art or art principles in general going into pixel art, it's going to be a lot easier for you. The transition is going to be super smooth. Mainly because the only difference, like with Jenny's stuff, she's basically just going from a painterly approach with a soft brush in Photoshop or whatever she's using to a hard brush, and her stuff. I guess it's technically pixel art because it's a hard brush, but it's still painterly, right? It's not really the aesthetic that you will see in a pixel art styled game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to come from her contributions to games. She does the portraits for Steam Marines too.
Oh, okay.
And so she's got to, like, when she does stuff, I think she's sticking in her wheelhouse a little bit there. But that's how you
With
start.
portraits.
You
Yeah,
just
that's
got
how
to
you
make
start.
sure it's like whenever I tell people how to. Okay, I say whenever I tell people like I'm telling them do art, But whenever I'm trying to help somebody, I say like do something you're comfortable with, and then make it smaller, and then make it smaller, and then make it smaller. Until it becomes so small that you can't read it anymore. and then figure
Well,
out why.
what I find interesting is that you're still applying the same principles. The smaller you like, even if you go down to 16 by character,
Yeah.
because you still need to pay attention to form, to shape, to your color palette, and to silhouette, especially
Yeah.
because that's super important. I mean, the smaller you go, the more important silhouette's going to be, actually.
And a lot of people starting out in pixel art, they're like, "Hey, look at this art I did," and it's like straight arms and straight legs, and a
Yeah.
big round head, and you really like. Everybody
Well,
seems to come into a really interesting style when they really devote time.
yeah.
Pixel art's one of the most varied things, but there are a lot of people that are kind of like trying to copy the same sort of aesthetic, especially after Sword and Sorcery came out. There were a lot of people that were really
Oh
trying to
yeah.
co-opt that similar style.
Super Brothers clone. Yeah, yeah, for
They're
sure.
learning the wrong lessons, and that's the thing. It's like people just learn the wrong lessons watching art. They think, "Oh, this is a popular kind of art. I'm
Right.
gonna copy this now." Galactic Princess is an example of taking that sort of Sword and Sorcerer Super Brothers approach, and I don't know if you've seen
Actually
it
not
before,
familiar with it. No, I'm looking it up right now.
but they do it in a really like interesting, very attractive way. The animation's cool.
Right, right.
Originally,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a Kickstarter. I
Hmm.
I haven't seen any updates on it for years, but
Yeah, no, it's nice.
it's cool. I mean, the animation's cool. It's
Yeah.
I think they prioritize the background character to the foreground character, and at some point you have to be able to look at the art and say, "Wow, that's interesting." Otherwise, it's just kind of like, "Why have art? Why not make a cube that paints the ground?"
And I think that tends to happen when an artist, basically does what you just said. They really like the Super Brother style, and so rather than learning the art fundamentals necessary to develop their own style, I mean, it's fine to kind of draw influence from a style, but I think they start there. I think they say, okay, I'm not really an artist, but Super Brothers looks easy. I'm just going to draw it that way because it's just a stick,
And it does
right?
look easy, but it is
It looks
not.
easy, but it's not. No, it's
It's not easy
definitely
at all.
not because they're applying the same principles that you would for a much larger, more detailed piece to something that's really crunched down to. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, they
it's
managed to
refined.
take an arm and give it like 14 joints, and
Yeah,
it still looks good. I have
it
no
still looks
idea.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
it looks so
it's super
deliberate.
refined.
And yet, if a normal person tries to copy the same exact pixels, with different colors and without intent, it's like you can tell. You can tell they're a fraud.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah. No, I mean drawing influence and all that's great, but definitely learn the basics. And I think that's why, like you said, your line art's gotten better even after just months of doing pixel art because you're applying the same principles, and they can you can scale it up or down uh, from pixel art to line art and whatever resolution you're working.
yeah, and fickle ass people have recently started to backlash against me. They're like, "Oh, you need more purple shadows, purple, purple." Like it's like
Yeah, I don't know who that could be.
originally, that was it's not just you.
Oh, okay,
it's
that's
not
good.
it's not just good-natured sassery.
Yeah, okay.
But originally it's like people are like, "Oh, I like how you pick your colors," and now it's like, "Oh, I'm sick of it already because they're fucking fickle bitches."
Well,
But, I don't know. I mean,
it's not like you're doing it for any actual artistic integrity reasons. You're just adding purple because someone told you to.
oh yeah, purple. Just
Yeah,
you don't
purple.
like what you're doing? Just slap some purple on there.
Slap some purple and it's artsy.
Purple is my least favorite color. I mean, for the first few years me and my wife dated, she didn't wear purple because she knew I hated it.
You're wearing it now.
I'm wearing maroon.
Oh, okay.
That's different.
That's what you want to call it.
No, it is different.
Purple with red.
Oh, I'm so mad now. Can't you
Arr.
see me? I'm just fuming.
Arr. I can see you 5 seconds ago, but oh, now you're fuming.
Yeah. I don't know. I never really get too high or too low. But
That's good. You're a balanced person. You're a Zen master.
oh yes. That's what most people would describe me as that I know.
And a Cheerios lover.
I do like me some Cheerios.
A man of many talents and many tastes.
So what What games are you most looking forward to other than your own? Because you're looking for those indie dollars.
Yeah, I love me some indie data. Yeah, no, to be honest, I haven't played many games at all recently. Looking forward to. I've owned a copy of Bloodborne for like a year, but I don't have a PS4 just because I'm, living in Japan. I don't want to buy one here and then have to lug it back when I leave and all that.
Is it
So,
not on the PC?
nope,
That sucks.
nope. PlayStation exclusive. Yeah,
Fuck
but
that
that's
mess.
one. Yeah, I mean, it's worth it to be. To me, it's worth buying a PS4 just for that game. Um, so I'm actually gonna do that at some point. But and then like Uncharted 4 is gonna be good. So there are a few games I'm looking forward to, I guess. But yeah, Farah is one of those games. I think Zach's touched on this before, but it's like, you know, he and I were both big Nuclear Throne fans, and a bunch of other games, both classic and modern indie hits that we like. But it's always like, okay, well, these are great games, but it, there are a bunch of aspects of all of them that we'd like to see in one game, and just kind of like a melding of everything that we really love. So to be honest, Farah, like if once it's complete or polished to the level that we're hoping it will be, it's going to basically be the game that we've always wanted to play. Um, I know that's setting a really high bar, but for us at least, we're putting in all the things that we'd like to play in
I mean, not really.
a game that type.
I think that that's the best way to design games. If
Yeah,
you don't have an interest in a certain kind of game, you're probably not going to make a great one.
yeah.
So it makes sense. The problem is with teams, and your team is it's not huge, but there's so many brains. It's hard to decide. This is what I want to play when there's so many different people. But it sounds like you've come to like a consensus at least on those key things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, luckily we're all pretty like-minded in where we draw influence from. The games that we tend to like, and the movies or artistic references that we draw from. So because of that, we're all pretty easygoing. Like if I suggest something more than more often than not, everyone else will agree or say, yeah, I was thinking that too. And so yeah, the decision-making process is really pretty straightforward with us. Um, so hopefully we'll reach that desired end goal and
By that
have
you mean
something.
you make the decision and everybody has to
Yeah.
process it,
Yep.
or else they get the bicep.
The bicep.
Just the one.
Just one. Yeah.
Two
Right.
is
Just
overkill.
like the Slack emoji. Just that one. That's all you need.
That's such a fucked up picture. Every time I see it,
I
I'm like,
know.
what is this
It's
alien?
it's really blurry too. It's like
Like
you
a
can't even tell what it
rhinoceros.
is. A rhinoceros.
Then the one of me is like, you'll,
Yeah.
you'll see it over there.
I love it.
That's cool, man. I mean, I like your team. The one thing that I don't think anybody could have foreseen is when you work with like 8 people from 9 different countries, it tends to get a lot more
Yeah.
complicated from the business side.
Yeah, from the business. Yeah, for sure. Business side. Time wise too. It's like only half the team's ever awake at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, from a business perspective, it's pretty hard. Getting the contract. I mean, well, contracts are not a huge deal, but rev share and stuff like that, it's really hard to get into when there are laws between countries that don't really line up, or someone's got like, that someone in Brazil has a 30% tax reduction or something just because they're working for a U.S. based company, and like, I don't know, all these weird international laws that make it hard. Um,
Yeah.
but as much as possible, we're going to try and hire a third party to handle all that stuff for us,
Yeah,
so we can just focus on making a game.
I always wonder, because I know PayPal handles all the transaction fees on money transfers, but you take a pretty good hit just on the front end of that. And it's like, it's almost worth it just because of the lack of headache. But if you plan on making a lot of money, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, no, you just get a lawyer. Just lawyer up and have someone else do it for you. It's a lot easier that way. Saves a lot of headache.
my family is all lawyers and accountants, so I'm not super
Well,
worried.
that's lucky.
I
Yeah, I
know,
was gonna.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got the most boring fucking family in the world, but I don't have to do my own taxes, and if I ever get in trouble, I'll probably be okay.
Probably, I think Zach's mom is an accountant too, so
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. We'll see.
Both of my
Hopefully
parents
it'll
are
work out.
accountants.
Really?
I've
Yeah.
got two accountant parents.
So you're
And,
probably sitting on a huge cash money pile.
and then it's like we're outcasts because my mom's entire side of the family is farmers, and then my dad's entire side of the family is lawyers. So
So it's like a bunch of hillbillies marrying into a family of Jews.
they're all fucking hillbillies, man. They're from like the same small town, but they went different directions. I lean more farm side than anything.
Just in your vernacular, I think, right?
Oh yeah, is that the case?
Your Texan drawl.
Well, I can't even tell most of the time.
I'm just sitting here eating my Cheerios. I don't
do,
know nothing from nothing.
I try really hard to phase it out, because if I don't, if I get really tired, it gets really obvious.
Your accent?
Yeah, it gets
It's not that obvious.
it
It's not
gets
that
pretty
pronounced.
strong.
Yeah.
Because that's how I talked the first however many years of my life, working on the farm and everything. It's like everything is y'all.
Oh, you actually worked on the farmer.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking just
I'm gonna
your
inherit.
ancestry.
I'm gonna inherit a good deal of farmland.
Oh, that's cool. That's fun though.
Is it? That's a fucking pain in the ass.
It's a lot of work, from what I've heard.
But luckily, my siblings are all way hickier than I am, so I haven't had to deal with that.
Yeah, just leave it all outside of the house. You train your daughter to become a programmer so she can leave that all behind.
I don't think she's ever gonna see that. I mean, it's like she
No?
goes out there, but she's never gonna have to be exposed to that.
Do you expose her to gaming, kind of not gaming culture? Obviously, she's too young for that, but games
She's,
in general. Like, does she play with you?
She's not even 3. She can.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know, she sat down with Mario Kart, and
Right, there you go.
It's like she understands the go button, but like,
Yeah.
getting it all together, I think, is a little bit advanced for that age.
Yeah,
So
maybe next year.
finishing a race is pretty impossible. But if she's anything like me, which I think everybody would agree that knows us that she is, she'll be there pretty soon.
Yeah. It'll be hard to keep it away.
That's just how I grew up.
Yeah, well, anything from Nintendo, I think you can kind of dive into at a pretty young age. They're good at making their stuff pretty accessible and attractive to younger audiences. So.
Yeah, man. Well, I remember playing a lot of Tetris and a lot of Mario and Mario 2 and Mario 3. But then when we got a fucking Super Nintendo, it was like, holy shit. Like, when that Super Nintendo came out, it was just
Completely
like,
different type of
Super
game.
Mario World is fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Just in terms of like design and all the different qualities that go into it, it's got. And then Mario 64, it's like every time Nintendo comes out with a new system, they really set a high standard.
Well, what's impressive to me is that they managed to outdo themselves with every new iteration of a Mario or Zelda. I don't know, maybe I guess that's debatable, but the Mario seems to get better and better with every iteration. So.
Zelda is debatable because Zelda's 1
debatable.
and Zelda 2 were pretty awesome. Link to the
Yeah.
Past is probably my favorite.
Me too. I'm definitely a Link to the Past fan. Ocarina of Time is probably number 2. Mostly for nostalgia, I guess, but I mean, it's a great game too.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but I definitely I played a lot more Link to the Past than I did Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where my wheelhouse is.
Yeah. It's interesting that a game like Link to the Past, well, I mean, there's that debate where whether pixel art can ever kind of go out of style, just because if the aesthetic is solid, then it'll always look good. Kind of the way that Wind Waker now still looks really good, despite the fact that it's really low poly, kind of outdated graphics. Just technically speaking, though, because aesthetically it's not. I mean, it still looks beautiful.
Yeah,
But then if you
the pixel snobs are usually like people a little bit younger than us that like Call of Duty was their first game. You know, like that's
yeah.
the type of person that they just don't really get it, and that's not their fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Comes
they're
with age, I guess.
idiots, and fuck those idiots.
Yeah.
Pixels for life.
Pixels for life.
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else.
Yeah, no, it's good. I gotta get going here anyway in like 15 minutes.
All right. Well, we could wrap this up. Thanks for listening to the old pod machine. Appreciate you coming on the show. I'll get the video out there. Now remember, follow Sandy at Bandygrass, BANDYGRASS.
I'll do my best to be less boring on Twitter, just because I can actually throw art at people instead of forcing them to hear me talk about nothing.
Check out this art.
Check out the animation.
The bowl cut is real.
Yeah. Don't get one real. Like.
All right, I'm shutting this bitch down. I'll
All right,
see
man.
y'all later.
Thanks, guys.